And this is, I think, applicable to all risk categories, such as what product it is, the description of the product, the quantity of the product that is actually imported or exported in, the country of production, the geolocation of where it comes from, of its origin, and the compliance.
Bersedia. Anyone, one of you can answer the question?
I'll do that first and then maybe DJ can add on. At least I think in our views, and I think we've also shared this with MPOC and also with the Minister of Plantations, I think there's two things that maybe the industry should focus on. The first one is, on your current classification, you should actually have the discussion to say, hey, standard risk is not necessarily the right risk classification for ourselves. And really look into what you call it, having that open discussion, especially with the DG of EU Trade and the DG of EU Environment, so that this should actually be reconsidered. I think that's the first part. The second part, I think for the reclassification, they are looking at the potential reclassification for 2026. I think industry needs to be prepared, and as part of being prepared on that is to ensure that any submission, especially in terms of the key statistics, the key information, especially around deforestation, forest cover, cropland, and productions, are properly verified and understood, and that the right inputs are provided to the bodies, which are used as the basis for the classification. I think that's a second point. The third point, I think it's also to be aware of when the EUDR actually comes into implementation. So that I think for large operators it's supposed to be in 2026, for small operators towards the end of 2026, 2027. I think there could be a lot of effort that is being undertaken first to ensure that the operators are ready. I think for the large operators maybe a bit less cumbersome, but especially given Malaysia has quite a large smallholder population, that the right traceability systems are in place, the ability to check the origin. I think some of the efforts that are being currently done with my Sawit and all, I think should help some of that, but I think being ready for that. And also potentially trying to elevate MSPO as a potential basis for certification, and that can be taken into consideration. I think so. These are maybe some aspects we feel could be important. Anything to add?
Yeah, I think it also very much depends on the latest statistics that will come out. But if the EU would then use the more recent data, I think there's a much higher chance.
I believe we don't have any more questions. If anybody wants to put down their questions, slido.com #EMPOF. I believe there's no more, so thank you so much, Ms.
Commodity policy target of 155 mils by 2025, as of 170 of the industry mills has already implemented biogas facilities. So when it comes to the targeted smallholders for Malaysia, it is strengthening traceability through certification as well as digital platforms like Sawit, eMSPO and SIMS. So these tools actually help the nation to comply with export market regulations, including the EUDR, to enable geolocation, and this will actually support some of the mapping of oil palm plantations as well. So when it comes to 2024, 87% of planted area with already are MSPO certified, with plans of showcasing the nation's progress. Now the last part, when it comes last but not least, on thriving people and communities, the palm oil is moving towards improved worker welfare, strengthening the support mechanisms in Malaysia, and we are seeing that based on the program, included 109.
Utilize this report in strengthening its narrative against ongoing negative perceptions of palm oil in Western media.
So I think based on the engagement that we have with the large players, quite a number of them are already having very direct, proactive as compared to reactive engagement in EU. The report actually brings together everyone on where the direction and the end goal is. The challenge of the sector is because there are multiple key players, it's very hard to determine what would be a collective target. Everyone can provide a progress, but target requires everyone's commitment. So that's the part where it actually sparks a different conversation here on, because now everyone needs to come together. Now, what would be the next target and goal they want to achieve together? So that's one thing. But when it comes to the stakeholder engagement, I think the collaboration is to amplify what the sector really has been doing. How does Malaysia differentiate within the other players in the sector? So we are competing with quite a number of countries, but we are also competing with quite a number of other crops. So there are two differentiated strategies that we need to manage. The communication channel needs to be more outcome-based rather than output-based. So there is a need to shift over time to what level of communication is the most effective. It also comes back to the fundamental of who's willing to pay, and as well as who are actually pricing some of these advancements in their purchase. So these are things where hopefully when we look at the differentiating factor, this can actually be moved closer to the pricing strategy.
Thank you for your insightful answer. We have one more. Based on your engagement with the 34 stakeholder groups, particularly smallholders, has been significantly improved market access for smallholder produce palm oil. Could you provide any specific examples?
I think one of the key things is the sector is fully aware is if they do not get their MSPO certification, they will continue to face exclusion threat. That is actually a real threat. They can still trade, but they are not getting the optimum, and they may over time be moved out from the whole value chain. The reality is real, and some parts we have seen, the issues also lies within how the smallholders trade. So it comes back to the unavoidable discussion on traceability when it comes to the trading system, mechanism, and platform. Unfortunately, that's something we have to tackle as an industry.
Thank you so much, it was really good. I don't think we have any more questions from the Slido. Can we get Ms. Delvinder on stage to present the token offering?
Stage. We are ahead of time.
And then we big to look because
it affects our manual
for EUDR compliance. But if I add to this, are the smallholders ready for any compliance itself? Panelists, why push MSPO? Someone asked for the participant, why not just RSPO? Do you think it's practical? Just to give you the context, RSPO is a business-to-business certification scheme, whereas MSPO is a nationally mandated certification scheme by the government, but it's also independently audited, and smallholders are assisted with MSPO. Unlike RSPO, the cost of RSPO is far more higher than MSPO. We are all aware of that. So what about panelists? You want to add on to that?
RSPO is what is being mentioned. Is a business to business initiated by big businesses, and it's very costly. Whereas MSPO, which is government mandated, and it's done, especially tackling the problems of the smallholders. If we can group the smallholders on economics of scale, become a larger area, then it will be cheaper to do the certification under MSPO. So, personally, I don't know what is the incentive that you can get from having RSPO. So that boils down to how much extra you can make by going RSPO.
So there was a slight premium for RSPO traded oil, but I think the premium has become very much less now.
If the premium is there, it's not there, then I think it is high time for Malaysia to MSPO to be mandated and to be, as of now, I sit in the board of trustees of MSPO. I think a lot of things has been done, carried out to have MSPO, especially in compliance with the UDR. The big players, we are having now the e-MSPO. This is on traceability as well as mostly on traceability. So the European but non-EU countries such as I'm not mistaken, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, has recognized this MSPO. So now MSPO is aggressively pursuing, especially to address the compliance with UDR. But the problem is, as what is being mentioned, the goalposts keep on shifting from year to year. So I think
the goalpost is going to keep on shifting. That's not going to change with the EU. Where it comes to recognition of MSPO, we have been told the EU Commission is not going to recognize any certification scheme, but you can use the domestic certification scheme or international to do your due diligence. That you can do, but recognition at the moment we are told it's not possible. But I want to go back to Ms. Hong. Is your company already ready to meet EUDR compliance? Are you?
Is not the consumer market. Most of the time, those customers who wanted to request for RSPO certifications are the consumers, the end buyers, the Europeans, the foreign buyers. So with MSPO, at least we have done a ground job whereby we can trace back to our mill, to our plantations, and then we have the geolocations, we have the shape files being registered. So MSPO is in fact, the Malaysian government is helping us, helping with the planters to get ourselves MSPO certified. I think that is the minimum requirement. At least we should be MSPO certified. Then only we talk about RSPO or EUDR if your main market is Europe. If your main market is Europe and US. For us, our main market is China. Yes, there are some China customers who also requested for RSPO and also EUDR, but we can comply because we are already MSPO certified. We have all the traceability done. So, and we are lucky that, if I'm not wrong, I saw on one of your slides that 90% of the plantations in Malaysia are already MSPO certified. Yeah, whereas in Indonesia, I heard only 20 or 30% of their plantations are ISPO certified. So they still have a long way to go, and Malaysia is already 90% achieved. So I think as long as we keep up with the good work and we achieve 100%, I think at least the due diligence part is already done, and we can achieve another milestone on EUDR.
That's good to hear. The MSPO with MPOB, I know, is working towards traceability of EUDR. Hopefully by the end of the year, they would have the system in place for that. I'm confident they will do that. But I want to hear from Mr. Joseph, what do you requirements, or it's always going to be an uphill task for them?
Yeah. To me, the question should not why MSPO, not RSPO. The way I look at it now, since Rio Declaration in 1992, sustainability effort is not just environmental management, it's not just about palm or palm oil. The whole world is supposed to be moving into the direction. So the way I look at MSPO is that if RSPO is the ultimate destinations, MSPO is really the starting point. I believe MSPO at least putting up the minimum requirement to handle sustainability issues. So I look at if there is a need to go into RSPO in the future, we have started the journey. The important thing is that we must acknowledge we have started the journey, and slowly we will be moving towards the higher standard. It may be RSPO, it may be different standard in the future. As we all know, things are keep changing nowadays. So I don't see that is something that we have to debate on why MSPO or not RSPO. Eventually we need to go there. We have to go there. At the moment, it's just like if you need to get only 75 mark to get an airplane, well, we can have 75, no need to have 85 or 99 here, because like Bill was saying, that smallholders need, I think, slightly a little bit of time for them to get understand. Probably when there is the second generation or third generation, their awareness, their concern on sustainability is likely to be higher compared to the current parents. Thank you.
Get back to the same question, same matter that we are discussing. There's a question here. So, yes, I think there's no dispute about it, and Malaysia will continue ensuring that the entire production in this country is fully MSPO certified. Because some of us have been saying, why do we need certification? Or why do we need to comply to EUDR? Yes, companies are exporting to EU, they need to comply to the EUDR requirements. But today our supply chains are all interconnected. If you go to countries even like India and China, the multinationals are asking you questions, are you EU?